始めたいと思います。Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sister Lucia Joseph. Sister Lucia Aratani, Akie. Today I'm going to talk about my own experience of atomic bomb. I prepared paper because if I don't have this, I will talk this way, that way, and necha. So I need this. And I read very slowly. So please meditate. This is a meditation. So because I want to taste of the affairs, how people were living in terrible situation. So imagine and the circumstances, how people was miserable. So I hope you feel the poor people or dead people. I will sit down. Is that okay?
Okay, please.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Seventy years since the Second World War ended. Many people don't know the result of experiment. That was the war of the atom bomb. Once I want to speak my own experience. One of sister whom I entered Sisters of Notre Dame together had a terrible experience as a 5-year-old. At that tender age, she was to carry her dead mother. We have never spoken to each other about that. It is very difficult to share the experience with the people who didn't experience anything. I was 10 years old pupil at the elementary school 8 kilometers from the center of the atom bomb, which exploded at 8:15 and killed more than 250,000 people in Hiroshima city. My father was not in Hiroshima. He was the manager of the factory for military use in Nagoya. My two elder sisters were working at the bank, standing just beside the river near atomic bomb dome. So they were supposed to go for the service of the demolition of the buildings and houses on the morning of August 6. But they didn't go, so they could survive. My mother went back to the city days later with my eldest sister to ask the city office for the daily needs for the neighborhood community. But the city office was burned and nobody was there. There was still burning around. Dead bodies were lying here and there, and rotten meat were full of maggots. On the way back home, my mother became very sick because she was contaminated with radiation, which caused leukemia and claimed my mother's life in 1951. My sister, who went out together with my mother, threw up heavily many times, but she could be saved. Before the story moves forward, I want to explain about my starting elementary school. I went far from my house, as my two elder sisters did. I entered in 1941 April. I went together to school with my elder sister. For going home, my mother came to meet me to the school every day because my sister was 6th grade class and had afternoon classes. I was very happy to see my mother with my younger sister. Mother bought the sweet bread every day, one for each of us. That was great fun to pick up whichever we like. However, we never eat walking. We never eat on the street. One day, we had the meeting at the school ground. The principal gave us the important message about the war beginning. I couldn't go to the same school. I could go to the same school until the end of the 3rd year, but had to change the school. Because of long distance. Therefore, I had to change the school nearby from my house. I went the new school for 1 year. My memory was just the practice for hiding under the narrow passage. We didn't learn the subject. When we took out the textbook on the desk, an air raid siren wailed, and we went into the shelter under the corridor. This was repeated and repeated. We were 4 children in the neighborhood. One was 11 years old girl. Her young brother was 9, and 2 of us 10. An air raid went worse in 1945. Our parents negotiated with the owner of the house for us to go when something happened. The owner was the sewing teacher at the former school. The house was very big. My mother told me, "Stay the teacher's house. If anything happens, I will go to pick you up. Don't worry. Be released." I felt very comfortable to live in the countryside, but after the supper, we used to go to the schoolyard to play. As the sun was going down, young child began to say, "I want to go home. I want to go home." When everybody said this, one after the other, we all agreed to go home, although we had to walk 4 kilometers, cross a mountain along a dark road. The houses were dark because of the blackout at night. Every night around the same time, around the time to go to bed, the siren was wailing. Then we had to get up and hide from a fighter interceptor. So we are frightened by an enemy plane. Every night we met with such nightmare experiences, and we couldn't sleep. Therefore, our mothers every morning give us scolding and said to stay at the teacher's house. At the same time, every morning we left that we felt that we might die today. I was going to die. This might be the last day for us. But after the war, when we had lost everything, we felt peace of mind. Every morning, we just had the same scolding. One day, we had a meeting among ourselves and decided that each of us must to speak up to our parents clearly. I want to die with my family. I don't want to be left an orphan. The word moved parents, mind, and heart. We went back home and stayed with my family. We left the house at 6:30 in the morning. Every morning, my mother saw us off until the road curves to the left. I often looked back and my mother was waving her hand. We were carrying an air defense hood, big one, light and big hood, for emergency. We were carrying water bottle, lunch box, a can of roasted soybeans for emergency provisions, a small pouch of medicine and bandage. We arrived at school. We went to the classroom. After the teacher checked the attendance, we all went out to work at the rice field for 1 hour before the classes began. We went back to school, washed hands, changed the shoes, went back to the classroom, sat down, and waited until all the pupils came back in silence. When the clock became 8 o'clock, the teacher stood up and we bowed to the teacher, good morning. We sat down. The teacher began to speak and write. After a while, the blackboard became sheer orange color, but nobody shouted with the excitement of orange color. I turned my face to the white building of Nukusina Ward Office. Nukusina means the name of area. I saw sheer blue light on the white building. I was watching the color. The blackboard was a blue line pattern of horizontal stripes. It was so fantastic and beautiful color. All of a sudden, I heard the blast, big blast, and then it became pitch dark. As soon as we heard the enemy plane, I didn't know where to go out. I couldn't find the door, so I was terrified. From the blast of the window panels were blown out. The splinter of the glass, the broken floor, and the holes were all over the place, so dangerous to go out. However, I stood up from the middle of the first row. I ran out to the door with bare feet on the broken glass. My shoes were downstairs. I found my shoes in the broken glass and ran to the teacher's house with my school bag and lunchbox. I didn't forget my lunchbox. However, I couldn't eat. Even I don't remember. Even we couldn't drink because of such a bad situation. Other friends did not come home, but I never went back to school. I was scared. I was watching the many wounded people from the higher place of the garden. I could see all the scenery of the country area and what was happening. I arrived at the teacher's house and stayed alone in the storehouse until midnight. We, the four of us, were called by the school teacher to go back to school. We helped the teacher to take all the desks, chairs out from the classroom so that injured people could lie down. Then we became released. Then we became anxious about our families. We wanted to go out to see how our mothers, but the woman teacher asked us to help cook supper for us. After supper, we were free. We went out to find our family. After a 3-kilometer walk, we met the neighbor. She told us how our mothers, except one mother, were injured, so she was on a truck. We couldn't go further because the whole city was burning. On the way back to the teacher's house, I met my elder sister, who was working at the Hiroshima Station General Post Office on the 5th floor. I was very happy to see her. She told me in short, she was at the desk, 5th floor, at the 5th floor. All of a sudden, all the lights went out. She could not see anything. The staircase fell down. She was lying down on the ground, her face, hand, legs covered with blood. She touched but felt no pain at all. She understood her body was on somebody's dead body. Her classmates took my sister to her home and took good care of her, gave her a new dress, and made meals in case someone wants food. As soon as she saw me, she wanted to give me food, but I had already supper. My sister was relieved to know that the good news that everybody in our family was well. She went back to her friend's house. That night, the whole group of people at the teacher's house went out up to the mountains, up to the mountain near the house. We were looking at the big fire in the city. Nobody spoke any word. We remained silent for a long time. We went back to the house and took a nap. Then the teacher called us to help with breakfast. She told me to go to buy the milk at the farm. I didn't want to go. However, I went out. The sun was shining as brightly as yesterday. When we passed the school gate, I remembered a sad scene I saw yesterday. A young woman was holding the little baby in her arm and giving baby milk. Her hand was trembling. Her burned face, breast, and hands were yellow and bloated. Her baby was silent. Many people might have died at that time. The smell there was terrible when I was passing the gate. After the breakfast, around 10 o'clock, my second oldest sister came to meet us and took us to the former parade ground where my mother and other sisters took refuge with many other people. It was the only place with shelter around there. On the day, I saw many burned people, many blackened and charred bodies, or many blooded people. All their hair was burned off. Many people were coming away from the center of either on the street or sheltering under the tree. All over the place there were wounded people and burned people asking for water. And in the countryside, there was no water left. With my sister, when we passed through the place, all the people were dead. I don't think of these things. I don't want to remember. I try to put it out of my mind. At the former parade ground, people carried out things they needed to live: water, food, clothes, blanket, and as much as possible. I saw my neighbors who lost their families waiting for their family to save them. A day after they all died. People died day after day, so the surviving soldiers cremated dead bodies day after day. We lived with the terrible smell every day. I sealed those memories 70 years. I don't think of these things. I don't want to remember. I have been trying to put it out of my mind. But now I want to convey the reality of the war. How it was tragic and staying long in our heart and mind. I admit the trauma of the event. Even after 70 years, experiences of atomic bombs still cast a shadow over the lives of many people. It took me a great deal of courage to come here and speak to you. I feel the important mission is to appeal for justice and peace in this world. I'm worrying about the situation in my country now. The people who did not experience the war are going to change our country, which means we can go to the war against other countries again. War is the denial and destruction of all human rights. This is not only the destruction of the Constitution, but the sacrilegious behavior to God. I pray that we will strive to stop this together. I want your feedback. How do you feel about the atomic bomb? I mean, see, without losing peace. That is a very, very important thing in Japan.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Sister, very much for your words and for the courage to express your experience 70 years ago. As you mentioned, it took great courage for you to recall those terrible, horrible memories. But it's important to know the truth and to know the horrors of war and the horrors of a nuclear bomb. And I was mentioning to someone else earlier today that when I was a young boy growing up in Texas, we studied the history of World War II, and the only thing we knew about Hiroshima and Nagasaki was that the bombs were detonated and the war ended. There were no details. There were no stories about the lives that it affected. And so it is important, especially when I come from a country that has the largest number stockpiled of nuclear weapons still, that we hear these stories of how it has affected so many lives. And I never knew about survivors. And the terrible consequences even of surviving. So thank you for your courage.
Sister, is that the first time you speak out your experience?
In Liverpool, our Sisters of Notre Dame knows I'm from Hiroshima, so she told me to speak people at the Hiroshima Nagasaki Day. They celebrate for commemoration. They have a meeting. So that time I spoke, but this is also, I don't have any I never write diary, never, nothing. But I can remember everything, even smell, and people's face. So I talk about my experience, how I felt, and never fade away the memory. So at that time I did.
we appreciate. Yeah, I understand you don't want to, memorize and speak out, but you had the courage to speak out, and we are losing a lot of experienced people. So very important is to speak out. I want you continue to speak out from now on.
Sister, first, thank you very much for this wonderful sharing that you had. And I will cherish this really moment, Sister, knowing from you, hearing from you, survivor, about the horrors of this nuclear thing, this atomic bomb, and so on. And a lot of people really don't know the horror, the consequences of this war. So for that, Sister, thank you very much. And I will really cherish this moment, Sister. Thank you.
This is only small experience, However, see, when I begin to think, what shall I talk to people? And then it took a long time because I remember everything. Everything is here. However, so hard to remember, feel again the same pain. So that I wanted to tell you. So many people really they had terrible, terrible experience. 本当に。So fighting is we want to keep the peace in this world. That's God's will. But we are fighting, we are making bigger army. So, yeah. In 1941, in December, all the students finished studying, but departure of university student stopped learning, but they have to go for war front.
For military service.
And then, see, when I changed the school, I said 1 year. That means we have no classes, no studying, no learning. So the people gradually the younger people going to the army and lose life. So I'm sorry, I didn't answer to your question. See, after that, many people become sick. See, like my mother, 5 years later, she died. Really stupid thing.
Thank you for your speech. And did you hate American after atom bomb?
You hate what?
American.
いや、それはなかった。それはないです。
Please say it.
No, no. I say because we were afraid when they came to Japan. We were trained to fight with the takeyari, bamboo suits. But American people were not violent. We thought, see, we were fighting before, so we had that impression, but no. If Russian came, maybe terrible.
And also maybe she didn't lose any family, her family.
Right away.
So, そうそれはなかったですよ、しみさん。And gradually we knew the American people, European people have a religion, faith. That's we felt. See, I was influenced too. Sisters came back and teach us. それはなかったですね。
So were you in a Catholic school
Yes.
at the time?
Not that time.
Not at that time, but later.
No Catholic school that time, because Catholic school means some missionary. They must be foreign people.それは不思議でしたね、本当にね。1900何でしょうかね。I brought the American couples when I met in Miyajima with the students. And then I asked to them to show the tour. See, every year, Catholic school, Notre Dame, when I was a teacher, first year teacher, after graduating college, I became a teacher at Notre Dame here in Hiroshima. And then we went to one day, everybody go to Miyajima, students go to Miyajima. Then we met couples. The man was I think he has a big man. That's why he could stay at the Iwakuni. I think before he retired, he's a great man. That's why he could come, and then next day was the Sunday, so I took them around, and then invited my house, and I brought my student in my class. She is very good dressed and 舞踊歌なんでしたっ
舞踊 dance?
け？踊り。
Dance.
え
Japanese dance?
Japanese with kimono. So she's very good girl. So I brought her in my house, and then言葉が出るがI invited and Japanese meal and so and Japanese dance, Japanese tea. We gave good welcoming, and we became good friends. So that is after何年かな4年about 10 years later ね really we are no more very good communication with the American people. So, no trouble, no nothing. 憎んってなかったですね。はい。
はい、sister. As today, there is an ongoing documentary presented in the BBC channel concerning the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then the question presented to that presenter was this: whether was it justifiable? Was it justified to bomb Hiroshima? Knowing the history, the magnitude of the war committed during the time. But personal opinion. Do you think Hiroshima is to be bombed at that time? Or do you think that is it necessary to drop atomic bomb just to end war?
Yeah. ねえ、2 days ago, somebody came here and then lecture about that. I was so busy with this, so I didn't come and listen to that lecture. Please ask somebody. That's a very interesting topics. I heard first time. When I was young, I was teaching at Notre Dame Academy in Massachusetts. Japanese language, Japanese culture. That time, one girl said to me, "Sister, my uncle dropped the atom bomb." And then that time, really, I didn't feel anything. See, no. We never have nothing かな。そう、何にもない。何を聞いても。私たちは人間と as a human being, and we respect people under the God, with the God. So 何にもない。Bishop, are you going to Nagasaki too?
Yes.
Not yet. You didn't go yet.
No, Saturday.
After